Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Wiki Weekdays podcast. As always, I am your co-host for the week, Lucas Holland, and I am joined by Snoot and Karl Smallwood.
That's the one who gets top billing now. I don't even know where it came from. This stuffed animal gets top billing. Let's go.
And if anyone can hear my dogs kicking off in the background, apologies, but hopefully they'll calm down soon.
The double sausage action.
You know, we've got a podcast to record, and we can't let my dogs bark and get in the way because we'll never record.
Imagine a podcast for dogs where it's just two dogs barking at each other for an hour straight.
There are
that's
dog
Joe Rogan,
podcasts. It is Joe Rogan. There are podcasts for dogs, but it's like relaxing noises and stuff. It's not people talking.
It should be the sound of your postbox rattling.
just
There should be
your gate being opened.
Do you know those videos where it's 10 hours of silence occasionally broken up by an air horn? It's that. But it's every now and again it just plays the noise of your post box rattling, so your dog just loses his shit.
I think I saw one where it was it was a noise from Mortal Kombat. I think it might have been the whoopsie.
Yeah. Whoopsie.
And it was just occasionally broken up by that. I was like, okay, sure. But yes, on the Wiki Weekdays podcast, Karl and I both bring a wiki entry for us to go through and read, and your job as the audience is to let us know which wiki won this week, and that is which wiki brought the best discussion and not which subject was your favourite. And
no one
Karl,
listens to that part.
I guess it's time to ask you what wiki you brought this week.
Well, you said you bring a Christmas themed one, right? Or is that
no? I'm going to do this weekend. I'm going to have a Christmas related episode, but not for the podcast because I don't think this will be December just yet.
No, it'll be the 29th. But what I brought in is just, I was thinking going through my shelf as I often do, and I looked at I'm not sure about yourself, Lucas, but as a kid, did you have to trade in games to get new games?
And
you had to swap them with
There's
friends.
There's a reason that my Game Boy, DS, GameCube collection, they're all 10 games because they were just cycled through all of the time.
Yeah, and there's a thing you've tried to do as an adult is go back and find those games that you remember having a fondness for as a child and just can't find.
I would have done, but because Nintendo games were the one that held the value, Nintendo games were the one I traded in, and Nintendo games are now super expensive, so it's I can't go buy all these GameCube games for 50 quid just to put on my shelf.
Yeah, so I'm not talking about a Nintendo game, I am talking about a PlayStation game that I had a lot of fondness for, and that is the Tenchu series. And did you ever play Tenchu? Tenchu Shadow Assassin?
I was obsessed with the Tenchu PS1 game, and I think I had a demo, either that or I'd rented it and only played the first level over and over and over again.
Yeah, so Tenchu is one of those series where it was a PS1 game. It did okay. Then they kind of didn't know what to do with it. They released a bunch of sequels that were terrible. Then they tried to do the ill-fated PS2 reboot.
Yeah.
That just killed the franchise. And if people don't know what Tenchu is, it's a shame that it doesn't exist because it was essentially Hitman before Hitman. It was Hitman with ninjas.
Was it really I thought it was just a stealth game,
But it was a stealth game where your mission was to assassinate somebody. And it had platforming elements. It was Hitman, but you're a ninja and it had platforming.
Right, yeah, because all I remember is running around a few rooftops and throwing things at people to kill them and stuff. I don't. Again, I played through that first level a lot as a child when
throwing down your poison
I don't remember
rice.
much.
Throwing down the poison rice, and then the noise of Rikamaru's little shinobi clogs slapping on the wood, which I always thought was really detailed. But people don't know, Tenchu is an action-adventure stealth video game series originally developed by the Japanese developer Acquire, where the player assumes the role of a ninja in 16th century feudal Japan. And that's the thing as well, because is it Assassin's Creed, where basically for the past 15 years, Assassin's Creed had the thing on the wall saying, if we start losing money, just make the Japanese one?
Well, they're doing that soon, yeah.
So they've run out of money then and ideas.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, 'cause people love ninjas. And it's a shame this never came back. Like I say, it's a series that I have a lot of fondness for. It was clunky, but it was in that way where you appreciated it because it was an early 3D action game and it was trying something new. Because in the era of the early PS1 days, they said, okay, we're going to make a free roaming action adventure stealth game where you control a ninja. That was an interesting premise. Also, just mechanically, it was very, very adventurous because 3D action-adventure game on a PS1. Yeah.
And
Metal Gear Solid just about figured it out. This one
Just
Metal Gear
about.
Solid, yeah.
And it's still pretty clunky. And it's like, yeah, this was, the fun era of, like, just getting into 3D gaming where the PS1 and the N64, most games were just doing experimental shit to try and figure it out.
Just figuring stuff out, yeah, but people don't know. Like, continuing with like the intro on Wikipedia here. The title in Japanese literally translates to Divine Retribution, with ten meaning heaven and Shu meaning death penalty. Another translation of this phrase can be read as Wrath of Heaven, which is the title of the first PlayStation 2 game in the series. And this series was like, it's pretty long-lived, all things considered. Yeah. It started with Tenchu Stealth Assassins in 1998, and it died with Tenchu Shadow Assassins in 2009, the ill-fated reboot.
I was going to say, did they get like a PS3 version out? Because I figured they might have done.
They did not.
Surely 2009 must have been PS3, though?
It was the very end of the PS2 era, which is when it was cheap to develop for it.
That's like 3 years after the PS3 came out.
They were releasing FIFA games for the PS2 into almost 2020.
Yeah, it was close to, yeah.
And people were wondering, is that real? It's like, yes, they had so many PS2s in countries like Brazil, where the cost of a PS3 was extortionate, so people didn't have them, but millions of people still had PS2s. They continued to develop and release FIFA games for the PS2. Likewise with Just Dance, right? Just Dance was getting Wii releases up until like 2021, I think. I think the pandemic basically killed Just Dance Wii because so many people had Wiis and played it exclusively for Just Dance.
Yeah, and it was funny because like the Wii U version had stopped being developed, but not the Wii version.
The Wii was still going, yeah. So the plot, like the basic plot of the series is, the series takes place in 16th century feudal Japan. The story involves stealth assassins. I like that. Just Tenchu stealth, because obviously this is the 90s where people don't really know what ninjas are. So what are they? They're stealth assassins. And the story revolves around two ninjas. Do you remember the names?
I wonder as well. Like I know, at least in the UK, there was like a lot of weird censorship around ninjas. So maybe that was
indeed, yes.
Also part of it is like they're not ninjas; they're stealth assassins because people have really negative associations with ninjas still at this point.
So people don't remember, like people don't know what we're talking about here. In the UK, there was a huge pushback against anything related to ninja, like media, and that's because a lot of ninja media utilised improvised weaponry, and the worry is that showcasing this like improvised weaponry might result in kids copying it. So the Ninja Turtles, for example, were censored, and Michelangelo couldn't use his nunchucks.
And they were hero turtles.
They were the hero turtles, yes, because ninja was deemed to be a word that had too many negative and violent connotations. And people wondering, like, so they just censored on ninja stuff? It's like, no, but anything aimed at children. So TV shows and video games, especially, were heavily censored.
Even though I presume Tenchu was probably rated for like teens or something.
But it was a video game, Lucas.
Yeah,
video games are for children, so maybe they did call it that for those reasons. But it involves two ninjas, Rikimaru and Ayame, who are both members of the Azuma ninja clan since childhood. The two ninjas serve the benevolent Lord Goda and work for him as his secret spies to root out corruption and gather intelligence in his province. And basically, like I said, the game, it's just Hitman, but with ninjas, which is such an interesting premise. How has that not come back? Because, like, I like the Hitman series, but do you know what I don't like about the Hitman series? Agent 47.
And just, like, kind of, for me, it's just generally the real life, quite, like, very realistic James Bond-esque setting as well of just, I'm not really that bothered about just going to a city or a racetrack. It's like, send me somewhere that's, like, fantastical.
Yeah. And that's the thing, like, I've always wondered why Hitman has never done, like, fuck it. It's like, just send Hitman back in time. Like, why have they never done, like, Wild West Hitman? So I know they do
like improv Wild West weaponry and stuff.
Yeah, like, they've done a lot of, like, themed levels, which are always the most fun parts of the Hitman games, right? Like, where you go to, like, the fashion show, and one of the things you can do is walk the runway as Hitman. And it's those are the moments that people, it's like the Assassin's Creed series of, like, I think they've completely abandoned it now, but like the future storyline being the most boring part of...
Not technically abandoned still.
But it's still... And it's that thing, is that they kept... And then all the stuff like the Crusaders and all like the weird cult in the background that controls everything. It's like, this is the most boring part of the entire series. Fucking drop it. Just put me back into a historical time period and say, go. Let me do that.
I really don't mind, like, if they want to technically keep it for sake of lore, but do what, like, Black Flag did, where it was like a 5-minute intro of like, hey, we're a game developer, we're putting you in this machine, go away.
I will never forget I think I've told the story before, the exact moment I stopped playing Origins, because I was like, okay, I've not played an Assassin's Creed game in like 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Origins looks fun. It's set in Egypt. Seems interesting. The character looks cool. The story, like the idea of exploring ancient Egypt, it's a period of history I'm not too familiar with. That sounds awesome. Played for about 5-6 hours. I'm like, okay, I'm starting to enjoy this. This is getting good then. Do. Screen goes to black. Character steps out of the animus and goes, and I just turned it off and uninstalled. I just went, I don't give a fuck. And I think I found out after the fact what they know how bad that is, because the first thing that happens is they tell you can get straight back in.
Right, okay.
The instant I saw it, I went, I don't care. Like,
maybe if
stop
you're gonna
putting this in.
Yeah. I would rather them just not have it at all, but it's like, if you're putting something in a game that you're giving as like an option to just skip, maybe it shouldn't be in the game anyway.
Yeah, and the reason I'm bringing up like Assassin's Creed is because they've done like, the various historical time periods, but for me, the thing that's always the most interesting is the DLC they do. The DLC is always really fun, because I remember
where it goes like into mythical creatures and shit.
Yeah, so I think and it started with Assassin's Creed 3, which they touted as being historically accurate, because they said everyone who you kill in this game, it's actually where they died in real life. And it's like, but I don't care, because I'm playing as your made-up OC. Why would I give a fuck? And I think the DLC for number 3 was, you play as like evil George Washington.
I was going to say, wasn't it like if George Washington became a king instead of a president or something?
It's alternate history where King Washington, and it's about trying to assassinate George Washington, who's become the dictator of the United States. And I just said, why don't they just make that game?
Mm-hmm.
And then I think for like Assassin's Creed, like Odyssey, like again, set in this historical period. Okay, cool, the Spartans. And the DLC is like, okay, there's Hydras and stuff. It's God of War now. Why was that not the base game? Then the Viking one, again. And I remember my mate saying he bought it. I was like, is it any good? He went, mate, there's a mission about going to Doncaster. I just turned it off. It's like, one of the missions is go to Doncaster. Why would I do this? And then the DLC for that was like the Valkyries and shit. And I was like, why is that not the base game?
Yeah, and I think they did the same with the Origins, where like you fight like Anubis and all this.
Anubis turns up in the DLC, yeah, and it's like, why is this not the base game?
All of that sounds so much more cool.
It's like, do you know when they did do you ever see that list of Far Cry games they were trying to pitch of after they did Far Cry 4 and it kind of shit the bed? They put out a bunch of like a thing like, okay, what Far Cry game do you want to see next? I'll find it.
Oh, the survey to the fans, yeah. And then it was like, I guess we'll put it in America. And it's thanks, Far Cry 5. Jesus.
Yeah, so, like, people don't know, like, the Far Cry is similar where Far Cry, all the DLC for their games is always, like, a million times better than their game, because it's fun. And
like Blood Dragon.
Blood Dragon, yeah. And they said, like, after the release of Far Cry 4, and it kind of sucked ass, went, okay, we're going to do a survey of what game do players want to see next. And they said, and here are the lists, there's the selection they offered. A Far Cry game set in the remote Alaska about surviving in the extreme wilderness. So that's like more Far Cry, the most Far Cry thing there, isn't it?
Yeah.
A Far Cry game set in a futuristic sci-fi setting on another planet. A Far Cry game set in the Vietnam War during the 1960s. A Far Cry game set in the cocaine trafficking jungles of Peru. And then we start to get this one. A Far Cry game where you can fight against or join vampires. So, a Far Cry game in a spaghetti western style set in the 19th century Americas. A Far Cry game set during a zombie outbreak. Blood Dragon 2 with more Rex Power Cole. A Far Cry game set in a Mad Max style post-apocalyptic world. A Far Cry game set in the present day, but in a Jurassic Park style island of dinosaurs. And then finally, a Far Cry game based on the world of Shangri-La from Far Cry 4. It's like weird drug-induced magic land.
Oh, yes, of course, yeah.
And what they made is Far Cry 5, where you drive around America in a Jeep and shoot people. And it's like, who gives a fuck? And I think like the Hitman games are the same way of like, every time they do something fun, like, oh, you're at a fashion show and Agent 47 can just strut down the catwalk. And it's like, and now go to Paris and just shoot Sean Bean. It's like, I can see Sean Bean dying everything I watch him in. Send Hitman into space. Set a mission on the International Space Station.
Oh, yeah.
Or something like that. And they seem like, and they only want to do is fun ideas for DLC. And that's why I think bring Tenchu back.
And I would hope that, just staying with Hitman for a second, I would hope that they embrace, because if anyone doesn't know, they're now developing a James Bond game, which makes perfect sense. But
basically, Hitman is a James Bond game at this point, isn't it? Yeah. With all the gadgets and stuff.
I just want them to embrace the stupid, older side of James Bond.
I don't want Daniel Craig James Bond. I want Hitman or James Bond to have a watch laser.
Yes, yeah. And that's take advantage of that part of the IP, because otherwise it's just man with gun.
Yeah, which we've got 100 games, and that's why I said the thing about Assassin's Creed of, well, do you want to just go to this historical location and run around and stab people? It's like, well, I've done that 5 times already. Can I not just play alternate history George Washington murder simulate, play as the founding fathers and who are all secretly ninjas? Or I want to play a Vampire Wild West game with that engine.
Yeah,
that's the thing. The Assassin's Creed engine is great, but the games are so boring.
Yeah.
The Ubisoft, the Far Cry engine is really fun. That's why Blood Dragon was such a good laugh. Because it's just slap a futuristic sci-fi synthwave skin over it. And it's a huge bunch of fun.
Yeah, it is. And it's funny because, Assassin's Creed, as you say, broke, the emergency box and are doing the ninja game. But also, they've also done, this year, they released Assassin's Creed 1, the video game. And just, essentially redid Assassin's Creed 1.
Yeah, and as well, the ninja one. It's it's not really fun anymore because we've already had, Sekiro and Ghost of Tsushima. So the one thing they could have done to actually stand out in the industry has already been done. So do you know what they should do? Assassin's Creed zombies. Or Assassin's Creed and make you a vampire.
They're doing one which is, I can't remember, it might be Hexen or something like that, which is around the Salem witches. And I'm like, if it's actually cool. Witch powers, that's going to be cool.
Yeah. Just give me an Assassin's Creed game where I play as a vampire. But, bring it back to, Tenchu. So the game perspective is in third person. There are numerous items to help the ninja on his or her mission, but unlockable items can be acquired if the player gets a Grandmaster rating at the end of a level by being as stealthy as possible. And that, adds to the replayability, because every time you do it in the Grandmaster style, they give you a new weapon to use. And I remember, one of the best items is, just poison rice. And it's just throwing poison rice everywhere, and you get people to eat the poison rice and sneak down and get them.
That's the question. I didn't question it when I was playing the game as a kid, but who's getting rice thrown at them from a ceiling and going, "Ooh, rice on the floor"?
In Metal Gear Solid, people eat stuff that you throw at them.
Yeah, it's fun video game mechanics, but when you think about it, it's why are they eating rice off the floor?
Yeah, and here's the thing as well. The game is Metal Gear Solid crossed with Hitman. That sounds like with ninjas. What a winning formula that is. And it died such a disappointing death. Enemies can be killed with one maneuver using stealth kills, and a player can avoid detection by using the key meter. So you've got magic as well. If a player is spotted, the key meter will turn red, and the enemy will alert everyone in the area, and the player is forced to fight hand to hand or hide somewhere till the enemies give up their search and become the ninja. And the characters... No, go on, yeah.
I went to make a point, and then my throat was like, no, you need to cough.
Yeah.
So I obviously didn't play very far into the game, and I didn't realize it was magic. Is it
just ninja magic?
Full-on magic, or is it just, you could go invisible?
It's ninja magic. And as the games went on, they added more and more dumb stuff, including more characters. But the main characters are Rikimaru, a tall, white-haired shinobi with a single ninjato, and Ayame. And Ayame is the female ninja, the kunoichi, where she's basically Kunimitsu, and she's fast and she's quick, but she's weak and not strong. So Rikimaru can jump higher and stuff like that. So it's how you play as the slow, strong one or the fast one. It's well, if I'm playing as a ninja, I want to play as the fast one. And this is a thing as well. She had a really great design. Very basic, but you kind of get away with it in that era.
Yeah, of course. With the PS1, they can't do too much with the character designs. You want to keep it simple, which... when we were talking about Tekken the other week, it's maybe to the benefit a lot of the time.
But if you ever look at the design, I just send you a picture on Discord, pretty basic design, but it's a cool character. Bring it back.
Oh yeah, that's a cool character design, yeah.
Yeah, bring it back. Just very basic ninja, but there's enough going on there ways.
was going to say very cool and progressive for like a 90s game. Not many gave you the option to play as a female character.
I think this
even to this day.
Yeah, I think this was on the heel. And she's just as important. Like, you get different story based on who you play as.
And those cutscenes, I have seen a few of them. They are pretty legendary as far as cutscenes go.
Which ones?
The Tenchu PS1 like cutscenes.
Oh yeah,
just like how bad the voice acting and stuff is.
Because it was a Japanese game with English dubbing voice acting, which is terrible. But Lucas, we had. So the thing is, though, this was a series that was built to last. Because we had in 1990 we had Tenchu Stealth Assassins. Then we had a 2-year gap, 2000, Tenchu 2, Birth of the Stealth Assassins.
Okay.
So that was like the prequel. Mm-hmm. And then we had 2003, Tenchu The Wrath of Heavens. 2004, Tenchu Fatal Shadows. 2005, Tenchu Time of the Assassins. 2006, Tenchu Dark Secret and Tenchu Z. Then a 1-year gap in 2008, Tenchu Shadow Assault. No, Tenchu Shadow Assassins and Shadow Assault Tenchu. And it died.
I think by the time it got to like Tenchu Z, those games were getting rated like 3 out of 10.
Well, I have. The first one, Stealth Assassins, got 87. And then it goes 87, Tenchu 2, 77, Tenchu Wrath of Heaven, 79, Tenchu Fatal Shadows, 58, Tenchu Time of the Assassins, 51, Tenchu Dark Secret, 37 on Metacritic. Well, then they started to bring it back a little bit. Tenchu Z got 56, Tenchu Shadow Assault got 46, Tenchu Shadow Assassins got 70.
I like how bringing it back is like it just 50%. Scrapes a 7 out of 10.
And it says that Tenchu Z and Tenchu Shadow Assault were on Xbox 360.
Okay, yeah.
So they must have been just in that era. And the final game, Tenchu Shadow Assassins, was a Wii exclusive, but also had a PSP port.
Oh, it's a weird combo that does make sense because they're both...
and they were both roughly the same power, which is weird to think.
Like PSP's kind of emulating a PS2, whereas Wii's a little bit more powerful on a PS2, but it's kind of close enough.
But are you ready, though, for why I think it should come back? Why Tenchu needs to come back?
Well, I just remember when people thought it was because Sekiro trailer came out and they didn't give it a name till the very end, and people were like, "Is this Tenchu?"
Well, there might be a reason for that, Lucas. Activision purchased the rights to the game from Sony Music Entertainment, who originally published the game in Japan. However, Activision sold the rights to the Japanese game publisher From Software.
Mm-hmm.
From Software owned Tenchu.
Like, they made Sekiro... They could have just called it Tenchu.
They could have done, but they didn't. And I think people look at Sekiro as like a spiritual success. And Sekiro's not really a Tenchu game, because it's not, the focus isn't on stealth. So I get why they didn't.
It's very much like a Souls action game with that kind of, setting slapped over it. But, I really wish we could get a Tenchu game that is, as you say, like a Tenchu game where...
Just Hitman with ninjas. Hitman with ninjas.
Because Ghost of Tsushima, you got that setting, but it was, way more kind of...
Samurai.
A
more
traditional...
samurai than ninja, yeah.
Yeah, it was samurai more than ninjas, and it was kind of in the same vein as a lot of the other PlayStation exclusives of, like, the third-person action game with heavy basis on story and stuff. It's like, Tenchu is a little bit different than that, but yeah, I'd really like to see the series return, and it is great that we've got Sekiro and Ghost of Tsushima for like great games in that setting.
Yeah, and you want to know one of the funny things about Tenchu as well? Again, I'm saying like it kind of like was really pushing the bounds of what the PlayStation could do. There is an additional Japanese exclusive release for Tenchu on the PlayStation 1. 100 of the best competing levels designed with the level editor of Tenchu Shinobi Gaisen, an expanded version of Tenchu only released in Japan, and that were combined together to form a standalone, non-story-based expansion called Tenchu Shinobi Haikuensen. So basically, they released like a remix of 100, like Monkey Ball style of like time trials for the game.
Yeah, it's similar to like the Metal Gear VR missions, right?
Yep.
Where it's like, screw it, here's just missions, just go.
And Tenchu did it first. That's the thing. It was Ninja, Hitman, Metal Gear Solid. And they just did nothing with it.
Like, there was a level editor as well. Like, what the fuck?
Do you know one of the best things about Tenchu was the debug menu? Because it was
really?
one of those early PS1 games where you had the cheats. And the cheats had the debug menu, which just let you gain access to every item in the game. But also, it just let you play as any character. So you could run around the level as a bear. And I remember us running around as a bear, throwing ninja stars. It's like, what do you do? This truly the ultimate assassin. Just bear with ninja stars.
I love games where they're like, fuck it, you can play as any character model. Like, whether it makes sense or not, you can just play as a character model that doesn't fit the skeleton right, and it all gets messy.
And like I said, they had a Japan-exclusive level editor and released a standalone remix of 100 levels for those Tenchu diehards. And that was in the PS1 days.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah. And just they never did anything with it. Like I said, From Software technically own it. I can't see anything here that doesn't suggest that From Software don't still own it. And they even mention that Sekiro was originally envisioned as a return to the Tenchu franchise, but they changed it based on just when they were making the game. They were like, okay, this is kind of not what the series is. Let's just make it its own thing.
And like that's the kind of sad part is that now if From Software release a Tenchu game, then everyone's going to be upset that it's not a Sekiro game. Yeah. So I can't imagine it being released anytime soon because again, just people will be upset that they haven't got another Sekiro, and unless you develop like Sekiro and Tenchu side by side and release them
and there's no
close
reason
to one another, but then there's no reason to do that.
They're basically just eating each other's dinner at that point, and it's a shame. That's it. It's a shame that Tenchu will just probably just live on as a memory. And like I said, for me, it was a core memory because a friend of mine had it, and we just spent so much time at his house trying to get past like the last level where it's like just assassinate the warlord.
Meanwhile, it's me trying to get past the first level, like,
We had the cheats though, so we were like throwing poison rice everywhere. We're just a shame we'll never get that.
I got really excited for a minute because like I'd forgotten that From Software actually own the license, and you mentioned Activision. I was like, oh, Xbox have just like acquired Activision. Maybe they could go back and make it Tenchu. It's like it's just probably lost in From Software now because Sekiro was too good.
Mm-hmm. And do you know what you can tell as well? You can tell like the series of the games. It's like the first one, just obviously it just says Tenchu on it, and it's like Tenchu Stealth Assassins. But every single game just has Rikimaru on the front.
Oh.
Just like the white guy with the white-haired ninja guy. And it's like, but Ayami's such a cooler character. She's so much more rad.
And I agree. And I wish, that character would be on the box instead, but for some reason there's still that, like, thing of either the perception or the sales figures that say that putting a man on the box will do better for your game.
Like, Rikimaru is literally on the cover of every single one.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a single one that has, oh wait, she's on Shadow Assault. Shadow Assault Tenchu. She's on the front cover of that, but she's behind Rikimaru.
Oh, of course, yeah. It's like she can be on the box art if she's like the secondary character.
Yeah, even though like she's the one I always play. That's because she can run faster.
Mm-hmm.
And she can run faster and she can do like multiple hits. But yeah,
right,
that's a deep pull from well within the recesses of my brain. Do you know what was awesome? Tenchu.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Those first couple of games were awesome. They were really good.
Yeah, they were. It's just a shame that series will never come back and just. Please, people making video games. I think it just happened with Call of Duty. I joke Modern Warfare 3 just came out and I was like, this shit sucks. It's DLC and it's terrible. And then and they've said, but don't worry, the next one. Because we heard with the next Call of Duty game set, Lucas.
Is it going to be like fucking Black Ops 5?
It's the Gulf War. I can't wait to commit those war crimes. And it's like, the point I always make with like Call of Duty is of how, like, I think the phrase allergic to being interesting is often used against like, those modern franchises and series that are just, they have to just give people exactly what they've had before, otherwise they'll moan. But then they'll moan that it's the same, but they can't change it too much.
The thing is, I'm pretty sure that when they did like Ghosts, Advanced Warfare, and Infinite Warfare, they were like the 3 worst selling ones. So,
and they're the ones that everyone always looks back on. Do you know what was really interesting? Advanced Warfare, because you had laser guns and jumpsuits. It's like, then why did you bitch about it every day? But I think what's most emblematic of like that aversion to doing anything interesting is, do you remember like the World War II one came out and they put in Nazi zombies and everyone's like, hey, this Nazi zombie mode is actually pretty fun. And that became like basically a mini series unto itself where like Nazi zombies got its own like storyline, and there were rumors that they were going to make a full on Nazi zombie game, but they never did.
Yeah, it's kind of like it was the third pillar of Call of Duty at the time, and now obviously they've got a Warzone as well.
Yeah, an idea they had for a while was, well, in the games in the past, we'll do Nazi zombies, and in the modern ones, we'll do alien terrorists.
Oh, okay.
And as of Modern Warfare 3, they've actually put that in, but they've not called it alien terrorists.
Oh.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
And it's give me a Call of Duty game when I'm fighting aliens and give me alien guns.
Yeah.
Because I think the game's already got, like, Homelander fighting Nicki Minaj. They clearly don't give a shit about realism anymore.
Does it?
Yeah, the multiplayer has Homelander, Nicki Minaj, Skeletor, Spawn.
So it's like mini Fortnite in there.
Basically. And it's that's the thing. If you're going to put all that shit in, why not just make me fight aliens and give me alien guns?
Mm-hmm.
So that's and again, like similar to like the Assassin's Creed thing and the Hitman thing, the core gameplay is really good. That run and gun gameplay of Call of Duty is real good.
And that's the thing is, maybe if people are confused watching this, of like, well, why do you want, Assassin's Creed to do this interesting thing when we've got a game in that setting already? It's like, because the fundamental mechanics of these games are really polished and defined.
Because they've had 20 years of making them.
Yeah, it's like, Hitman, Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, Call of Duty. The gameplay is very solid in all of those games. Like, the foundations are there.
Yeah, because someone's probably going to say, well, there is like a game where you fight like aliens in first person. It's like, but does it play like Call of Duty? And will it have the budget and the push that Call of Duty gets? No.
Yeah, and it's, similar to sometimes, as a Destiny 2 player, I'm in and out of Destiny, depending on how the game's going at the time, but I always come back to Destiny because the gunplay is so good. Like,
exactly, and that's the thing.
It feels so good to play.
Just give me laser guns in Call of Duty.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody plays a vampire in Assassin's Creed, but they won't, because if they started putting that stuff in, people would moan, even though it would be way more interesting, because what we're on to our, like, within the last 10 years, we've had 5 Call of Duty games set within the same conflict.
Would you
using
like
the same guns.
To go back to World War II and get boots on the ground, Carl? It's like, no, stop putting back in World War II.
I want to make a Call of Duty game and say it's set in World War IV. I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah.
And just skip World War III. Just say we're in World War IV.
And, like...
Or a Call of Duty game where they go all the way back in the past and it's cowboy times. And make cowboys versus aliens.
Fucking 19 years, we've had, Modern Warfare 1, 2, and 3 twice.
Yep.
It's like, just come on.
Just put an alien in there. Just one.
Just the one.
And they've put it into, like, the Spec Ops mode. It's like, just put that in the main game. Like, they already had, like, Godzilla and King Kong turn up in Warzone. And then
shit.
And then for Halloween one year, they had, like, a mode where it is you play as a zombie who can jump, like, 300 feet into the air. And I remember that's the only time I booted up Warzone, because you just got to run around as a zombie and jump around the map. And fly through windows and stuff. And then they took it out and went, okay, now back to just everyone camping with sniper rifles that are bright pink, calling you, like, racial slurs. When this sucks.
Yeah.
Give me an alien.
And that's the thing is, what they'll see from all of those, like, peaks in people is, doing crossovers with IP, that's what people want. It's like, maybe a lot of people just want something interesting and different. But, yeah. That's never the lesson they'll learn. Mm-hmm. They'll be like, "Hey, we tried one interesting game and it didn't sell that well. Let's just never try that again, shall we?"
Yeah, we did an interesting thing. We didn't give it the budget. We didn't market it because our executives thought it wouldn't work, so we didn't market it, and it didn't do very well. So we're going to blame that on the audience. It's like, no, you didn't market it, dickheads. You can sell glorified DLC in Modern Warfare 3 and get it to be one of the most played games in the world. Despite overwhelming negative reception, you can sell anything. Put a couple aliens in there.
Yeah.
Just give me an alien gun.
Please.
You can play like and that's the thing as well, because if you play the game and all the shit you can download, it's like, download the kawaii, like, uwu laser beam gun that turns people into a cloud of fucking anime girl titties. And it's like, how is that any different from just putting a fucking laser gun in it from the start? What they should do is make it all the laser guns and then put the real guns in as DLC for the weirdos who want to, like, because I think they call them the mill sims.
Oh, okay, yeah. Just make Modern Warfare 4, but make that the DLC.
Mm-hmm.
And just
make
make
the DLC
all the
the real
crazy
world
shit
stuff.
the base game. Yeah.
But I think the funniest one is, though, it's like, if you go on like the mod, so I always have to check, are the servers down? Or is it just that, like, just Call of Duty is just shit right now? Go to the Modern Warfare, like, subreddit. And there's people on there, look, I made this gun from a movie. Like, the gun that, like, John Wick uses to shoot people. I made it, look, I made it in Call of Duty. And it's for those people. Just give them that. Just give them the make a gun mode, because most of those people are shit at the game anyway. Let me go fight some aliens. Just put more aliens in more games. Like, but yeah, that's Tenchu.
I like how Tenchu got us to the line of put more aliens in video games.
I just wanted to use it, like, when games had interesting ideas, they weren't afraid to take that risk.
Mm-hmm.
Of, like, if you'd pitch that game back then, like, you could pitch anything back then.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think an example is like Medieval. Okay, it's a game where you play as a one-eyed skeleton who's a fucking coward. And it's a platformer, and like, what? And you can, like, bowl his head around like a bowling ball. And like, cool, sick, here's $1 million, go make it.
I love the idea of the Daniel Fortescue. It's
Daniel
like,
Fortescue's a legend.
Who do you play as? Oh, you play as the guy that, like, immediately died in battle.
Yeah, you play as a huge bitch coward. It's like, finally, a character for me. I feel so seen by this character. Oh, yeah, that's my entry. What have you brought for one for our?
Well, after we take a break, I will be back with my wiki, but I will be bringing, hopefully, some weird things that got put into video games, Carl.
Oh, nice. We always inadvertently end up on, like, some sort of cohesive theme. I don't know how we do it.
I don't know. Like, we don't plan these kind of episodes. Just we seem to be on that wavelength, Carl. But yes, I will be back in a few moments.
So we've returned, Lucas, and before we get into your wiki entry, some housekeeping, which of course is usually just, hey, we both have Twitchers. You can watch us on the Twitchers. Mine is twitch.tv/Karlswood. That is Karl with a K, ARLSWOOD. Karlswood. Which people love pointing out to me. Do you know that sounds rude? It's like, yeah, it's my name. They'll never stop cracking me up that people don't think Smallwood's my real name. Speaking of which, I also present over on Top 10's Biographics and Geographics, where there's like a small but dedicated subset of people who are like, why does this guy not have such a weird fake name online? As if I was going to have a fake name, why would I not pick a better fake name?
Mm-hmm.
Why would I pick one which people are always just going to go, sounds like you got a small dick, and he goes, it doesn't sound like I got, like, no, I'm not even going to do the joke, can't be asked.
Why would you not just call yourself like Hank Scorpio?
Yeah, or like Dick Hammerbush, or something like that, which is a John Cena joke. John Cena's name is also just his real name is John Cena, which sounds way cooler than mine. But then also you can follow Lucas on twitch.tv/Legend of Kanto, which is also your screen name and all your profiles, yes? Your X account.
It depends which one. Some of them are Kanto Legend _ because I couldn't get Legend of Kanto, but yes, you can follow me on all of the, those lovely things from the description of the video. And, just, I'll what I'm playing, I guess. So just doing, like, Mass Effect 2 on Mondays with Carl. On Tuesdays, I'm doing, what are we doing at the moment? We're doing a Link to the Past for Tunic Tuesdays, and I'm doing a Pokemon X Nuzlocke run for Thunderbolt Thursdays.
See, the guy who called it a Link to the Past is like, he's like, I know what I'm doing. He thought he was so clever when he thought of that, didn't he?
I believe that, like, that's the reason that Link is called Link, is because he was meant to be a link between past and present, or past and the future and the present, or something like that.
And Zelda's called Zelda because she's the legend.
Well, Zelda's called Zelda because she's named after Zelda Fitzgerald.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh. That's weird. Was this such a straight, like, this Japanese game named after, like, Zelda Fitzgerald? She was like, the singer, right? Or was that Ella Fitzgerald I'm thinking of?
It's Scott F. Fitzgerald or whatever, like his wife.
His wife. Okay, yeah. Zelda. You say it's the novelist and painter. I thought even Ella Fitzgerald, the singer.
Oh, right. But yeah, that's for anyone curious. That's where apparently Zelda came from. But
it sounds like such a video game / high fantasy name when you hear people like actually had that name.
It's a cool name.
It is. It's a great name. It'd be like meeting someone called like Gandalf, wouldn't it? And they're not named after the books. It's just their name's Gandalf.
Like Gandalf in the books is named after them. But we are talking about video games, and maybe Link will come up in this because we are talking Nintendo, Carl.
Okay, what are we talking about?
We are going to the Wikipedia article of a list of Nintendo DS accessories. And I'm just hoping... Yeah, I'm aware of like a few of them, and I'm just hoping like we get a little bit weird with it.
Yeah, because so by accessories you'll mean things like, I guess, the Guitar Hero edition, like Guitar Hero on your DS.
Essentially, that's the reason why I wanted to bring this up, because that was the one I had in mind, and I was like, I wonder what other shit they did with this.
Yeah, so I guess before we get into that, do you have like a favourite accessory that you happen to own? Because I do, behind me, but you can't really see it. If I move to the side, you can see that.
Super Scope.
I have the Nintendo Super Scope, yes, which is one from Japan. I had the original one, but my dad threw it away because he didn't realise how much it was worth. And we had it in the box as well, which is annoying, and it worked. So my ex-girlfriend, on a trip to Japan, bought me one for my 30th birthday because she knew how much I missed having it. And it unfortunately doesn't work with my current SNES because the different power, whatever it is that's inside the SNES means accessories from Japan don't work. But it's nice to own basically a mint condition Nintendo Super Scope.
I mean, one of mine, just out of the fact that like it's such a weird pull, is the fact that I've got like the Rock Band 3 stuff. So I've got like the keyboard keytar thing, and I've got the Pro guitar, which
is that the one where they try to make like Rocksmith or something like that?
Yeah,
where it has like, because there's that weird period where I don't think I ever met
just a normal one that's just attacking me.
I never met a single person who like thought that playing Guitar Hero meant you'd be good at guitar. That was always the thing that assholes said, wasn't it? Of like, well, it's not a real guitar. And I went, I know.
Oh, this is a bad idea.
Yeah. It's like,
so this thing that's sitting right next to me, where every single button is like meant to emulate a different string on a different fret of a guitar. And then like
it was such a bad idea because
the bottom bit had like the 6 strings as well, and it was literally meant to teach you guitar. And then one of my friends who knew guitar came round and was like, oh, okay, I'll play a song that I know, and it was different from the song in real life. I was like, what's the point then?
Mm-hmm. And it's like nobody ever thought that, but like there was always those arseholes like, you could learn to play real drums. It's like, I'm not playing this, or not a drum, because the drum one is a bit more one-to-one.
A little bit more one-to-one, yeah.
But the guitar was like, I don't think I'm going to be able to go out on stage and just shred like Master of Puppets, but it's for half an hour I feel like I can, and that's what a video game is.
It's power fantasy.
Like
that's what it is.
Games.
Like Guitar Hero and Rock Band, they are power fantasies of like, well, I can't go out and like play an actual instrument to an actual crowd, but you know what I can do? I can pretend that I am in my brain while pressing 5 buttons and having a laugh.
Yeah, but they always had those weirdos of like, well, I can play a real guitar. It's like, well done you, but can you play a plastic one?
It's like, can you beat me on Through the Fire and Flames on Guitar Hero? And it's like, the zero amount of your skill playing guitar will help you out here.
As we know from the fact that Herman Lee, the guy who wrote the song, can't play it. Remember when we did that like Guitar Hero event? And that guy came in who was really good, and he did nothing but moan the entire time. And like, the TV's not calibrated properly, otherwise I'll be really good. And we just went, mate, go sit down.
It's like we're meant to be having fun at a bar and having a few drinks and playing some Rock Band and having fun. It's like, come on. But yeah, I'm now just awkwardly sitting here with this guitar because I don't want to like make any more horrible noise. I do apologise for all that clattering around.
I'll grab mine. Mine's out of tune as fuck. I've not played this in ages. This is how out of tune this bastard is. Ooh, that's bad.
The funny thing is, I can't hear a thing because of Discord.
I'll put it away. Ugh.
So everyone else can hear what happened, but I'm just like, yeah, that sounds great, Carl.
That shit's out of tune as fuck because I played my other one.
Oh, but yeah, like the list of Nintendo DS accessories will hopefully get as weird as like some of those things, if not weirder. But I do love the idea that like just for that one period of time.
Because the DS, they sold so many DSs, didn't they?
Well, I was going to say that Rock Band were like, we're going to teach you how to play guitar by getting the notes wrong on the songs.
The only thing I want to know is how to play the bongos, and Nintendo already taught me that.
DK taught me the way. So I was hoping, like, maybe if people like this list, if we can find some interesting stuff, maybe I'll think about like another system that has some weird like, you know,
It'll be the PS2,
maybe the
right?
3DS or the Wii or PlayStation 2.
The Wii
or
probably
something.
had loads.
Yeah.
Remember the Wii Sketchpad? Yeah, it was the one where it tried to teach you how to draw, and it was basically just a tablet that didn't work. And they apparently...
I remember there was like, was it like the Ubisoft or THQ went under because they tried to like...
It's like We Can Draw, it's like You Draw or something like that.
You Draw, I think it was called, yeah.
And
it's
they
like,
went so hard on
they
that.
They went bankrupt on the bet of that working out or something.
They were planning, yeah, I think it was for the Wii U, maybe.
It can't have been. No one's putting the money on the Wii U. Surely.
Let's find out. While you go through the list, and I'll find out details about the U Draw. Lucas, it was for the Wii U.
Oh my god, no! Oh, because I was like, U Draw, Wii U, that makes sense, but like, it doesn't ever make sense to bet on the Wii U, which that'll end up in bankruptcy.
Lucas, you can get it on. You can get it for £3.
Yeah,
it's £3 on eBay.
I'm tempted to get a U-Draw, so the next time you ask me, like, what's the weirdest accessory you own? I could be like, I own a U-Draw.
The U-Draw for the Wii U put them out of business, because apparently they sold a lot for the Wii, and the Wii sold like 200 million fucking copies. So just imagine, like...
The Wii, for context, sold like, I think it was like 110, 120 million.
Some crazy amount of install, right?
And the Wii U sold 13 million.
Yeah.
So, like... A tenth of the user base to buy these things.
And you can't blame them, can you? Like, the previous one had, like, this install rate of 100 million people. If we can capture 1% of that market, that's 1 million things sold.
And the funny thing is, Nintendo could barely capture 1% of the market.
Yeah, and they basically went all in for the Wii U version, thinking, even though the Wii U had a touch screen.
So, it was a tablet-based device.
So you didn't need the edition, and they put all their money into it, and they went fucking bankrupt.
Oh dear.
Tell me about some...
So, the accessories for the Nintendo DS often came in two forms. Those that worked with slot 1 as a regular DS cartridge, and those that worked in slot 2 for Game Boy Advance cartridges, known as a DS option pack.
When you think about it, though, that's actually a pretty impressive piece of kit, isn't it? There's two separate options for the thing.
Yeah, the fact that they can have both cartridge slots working simultaneously together is a really cool idea. And then it did also lead to that weird thing of, like, if you bought a DSi, the DSi didn't have the GBA slot. Mm-hmm. So there was just... You were done. You couldn't use any of these accessories if you, like, upgraded. Which
is so weird to think with Nintendo, considering, like, you can... Can you still use Wii controllers on Switches?
No.
Or they finally said you can't use them, but you can use GameCube controllers, right?
Only through, like, the special Smash Bros. Adapter that they made, yeah. So that's a weird, like, thing of just because Smash Bros. Fans are weird and won't let Melee go, you can use the GameCube pad. And I say that as a person who's got the GameCube adapter next to me as one of those weird Smash Bros. People.
Yeah. Tell me more about these DS things, though.
But yeah, like, the DS option pack, when inserted into the DS or DS Lite system's main menu, it read as a DS option pack when inserted into that. When inserted, it would show the text, "There is a DS option pack inserted, with the exception of any DS GBA connectivity accessories such as Boktai solar sensors and Lunar Nights."
Yeah, I remember, that was like a weird thing as well. I remember Boktai being a thing, like you had to play it in the day because it was like...
Really?
Yeah, because the gimmick with that is you need a light.
Wow.
It was like some vampire
this
thing.
This is where I'm hopefully getting into like how weird this shit can get.
You had to play it outside to charge it up, to charge your thing, but the problem was they didn't have no backlight, or the backlight was shit. So you try and play it outside and you couldn't fucking see.
And I love this. Like, we go through a couple straight away, and it's like pretty bonk standard stuff of like headset, a web browser. Oh yeah, because you had to plug in a cartridge for the web browser because it was on the DS.
Mate, they used to do Netflix on that. Remember that? You could watch Netflix
but that was
on
like
the DS.
on the 3DS, I think it was, where you had like Netflix as a downloadable app. But it's like the fact that the web browser was a separate, it was a separate game that you had to buy for 3,800 yen, approximately $33 American,
to play the internet on your thing.
to use the internet on your DS. And then there's a memory expansion pack.
Is that just
Oh wow, okay. It's a 8 megabyte RAM option pack, which is required for a browser to run.
Oh, just give you like a bit more oomph so you can actually run the internet.
And it's not used by any other commercial software, but some homebrew applications, of course, use it.
I imagine, yeah.
There's facening scan.
Was that for that game where you could take pictures of your own face and put them into games?
No, because that was like the 3DS.
Okay.
Had like that weird as you say, it took a picture of your face, like put it on little targets, and you shoot the targets flying around your room.
Yeah, I remember because there was all those videos of people doing like Osama bin Laden and stuff.
Oh god!
I was like, why is this an option?
Of course. The facening scan, that's one word, is a camera option pack that plugs into the GBA slot of the DS. It's only compatible with 2 games, Face Training.
Oh, so is that like an exercise thing of like...
It just says, a game exclusive to Japan, which gives the player a view of their face as they use the game. What is it?
For early streaming, I guess?
And then also Shiseido Beauty Solution Kaihatsu Center Kanshu Project Beauty, another Japan exclusive game by Sega.
I would have never guessed that.
Attachment.
I would have never fucking guessed what name. Was that for like I guess the ladies to do the makeup or something?
That must have been, yeah.
Which I guess
like some kind of, makeup teaching device.
It makes sense, like, because they sold like the DS as like a life. It was basically like a PDA.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because there was a lot of apps and games for it that were just like memos and stuff like that. So they wanted to sell it as basically you can have one on you at all times, and it just whatever a kid can have it and play games and their Mario stuff, or you can have it as an adult and like keep notes and keep track of stuff and like use it as a messaging thing.
Yeah, because think about how many people that weren't traditional gamers that bought it for literally just for Dr. Kawashima's brain training.
That's the thing. My dad had that.
Yep.
Like when we got like our new 3DSs, he got our old DS and put Dr. Kawashima's brain training on it just to play Sudoku.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, and like there were people, like, for anyone wondering, like the huge market of people that had the DS, which is nearly the greatest selling game console of all time, like 1 million behind the PS2.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of those people were just people that used it as a Sudoku machine.
Like I think my mum, she still used one. She got one of those like shitty 42 games in one packs for like a $5 from CX, and just played like board games on it. Yeah, and she just sit in the front room, and she still plays it. She gets like, I think there was a colouring game on there where you drag and drop colours, and she just finds it really relaxing. Mm-hmm. She don't want to play like Candy Crush or out on her phone. She's like, I just want to sit here for now and turn my brain off and just.
Yeah, exactly, and it's just a lot of people did a lot of weird things to try and capitalize on that market, as you say, is like more of like a lifestyle device than anything.
I think you had this huge install base, didn't you? Like, think of all the shitty weird apps you got on like the first year of the iPhone, like the pretend to drink a beer app and all that stuff.
God, yeah. The one that makes a whip crack sound.
Which you can just do with your hand. The thing is, I'll never forget the video of the guy doing that and his iPhone flies out his hand. It's so fucking good. When he tries to do it, it flies out his hand and it's like, you idiot.
Oh.
That's why you always wear your wrist strap.
Oh, God, yeah. I was just listening to the Kit and Krista podcast, and they like used to work at Nintendo, and they were talking about like how much people would get in trouble at like promotional events for not putting the wrist straps on and stuff.
Because you're a representative of the company, you've got to.
Yeah, and it's like it sounds silly of like you've got to be really strict on like the wrist strap, but it's like no, because you're promoting that product as like, and that's the safety device for that product. And how many people put a fucking Wii remote through the TV? Oh, man, or a window?
Yep. That compilation of people destroying their brand new TVs with Wiimotes. And that's the thing as well, because everyone complains about, this is stupid. It's like, well, did you wear the wrist strap? Well, no. It's like, exactly.
Yeah.
That's why it's there.
That's why there's a big warning screen every time you open up the game. Like, wear your fucking wrist strap, you idiots. It's like, oh, but I won't need one. And then they fucking release the Wii condoms. Do you remember them?
Oh yeah, I hated those.
Like the covers, the big gel
Make 'em
covers
nice and
that
grippy,
you could put over to make sure that, like, if you did launch it into your TV, it wouldn't hurt it as much.
That happened to me the other day. I went bowling, but I'd moisturised my hands, so the bowling ball went into the next lane. And I was like, I'm so sorry. I've just moisturised. I put some hand cream on and went to bowl. It just shot into the person next to his lane. I'm so sorry.
And this one sounds, again, a little bit strange. We have the slide controller. This connects to the underside of a DS, making the entire device act as an optical mouse. It launched in Japan.
like a mini touchscreen sort of thing? Like similar to like a PlayStation where you can rub your thumb on the start, maybe?
So it's similar to a mouse. It has a red LED light located at the bottom of the controller. In order to move MagKid across the screen during the game, the player must slide the entire Nintendo DS system with this controller at a slant angle on the table surface.
Oh, I can't wait to play that on a bus.
What the fuck? And it was just a game for the Japanese game Slide Adventure MagKid in 2007.
You know what, though? That sounds interesting. If someone handed that to me, I'd probably have fun, I'd have fun with it for half an hour.
That's why I wanted to check this up, because there's so many like weird just accessories for one single game
we
on the DS that just,
like earlier of like, take a risk.
Mm-hmm.
Like make something interesting. It's like, no, let's just make a Call of Duty clone. It's like, no.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, at least they're doing something different.
Might not work.
At least they're trying a game where you have to slide your DS across your
and you can say that's stupid, that might not work. Well, let's just say you're on the DS, the best-selling console of all time by the PS2, and that took a risk, like the dual-screen clamshell thing. They told them that was stupid. And then Sony's like, no, people want power. Look at this PSP. And then just that died a death.
I mean, the PSP was, like, surprisingly successful by the end of it. It sold more than the 360, I believe.
It sold more, but they killed it in the crib by saying, but you can only use our memory cards. And it's like, fuck off.
No, that was the Vita.
Oh, yeah.
The Vita was like the same sales as the Wii U or something.
Oh, yeah, because like I think they had their own thing, but you could buy a very cheap adapter that was like an official adapter that let you put just a 128 gig SD in there if you wanted to, which is what I've got for my PSP. Because I've got like a PSP behind me that I download all my PS3 games onto before like, the PS3 store shut down.
The weird proprietary thing Sony did with the PSP was the UMD.
The balls to call it the Universal Media Disc, and it only works with their console.
It only worked with one thing ever.
And that's the thing as well.
The most universal device.
They owned mini discs. Mini discs were awesome. I loved mini discs. Yeah. Like mini discs.
Are they the same mini discs as like the GameCube?
No, mini discs. Remember the little square things? They were basically it was the stopgap between cassettes and CDs. Because CDs were cheap, but they scratched, and cassettes were they were cheap, and you could re-record a cassette tape. So. People don't know the mini disc was an attempt by Sony to create a hybrid, so it had the mass production and like solid build quality of a cassette tape, where all the stuff that's valuable is inside, with the memory of a CD, but then the re-recordability of a cassette. And one of the things that you could do with the mini disc player is you could just like endlessly rewrite the discs inside. So it was essentially like. And the problem is, like, it came out at the same time, like, MP3s were just taking off. And it's like, one MP3 player, it had, like, I think they started, like, 128 meg. You get, like, 15 songs on there. Mini disc, you could have, like, 20 songs on each disc and carry as many discs as you wanted and re-record infinitely. The problem was, is just they cost too much money and just MP3 players just shot down in price. But it was such an interesting, like, stopgap.
Yeah, it is. Like, it's always interesting to see those, like, little failed attempts at the new tech.
It was such a good idea, though, yeah. And it's just that thing, like, it never took off, but I always thought as though they looked really cool because they were, like, the size of, like, an SP. And as well, because they said CDs, they could skip. CDs skip. Don't they?
They did when they scratched a lot, yeah.
And just when they got moved around, mini-disc players didn't skip because it was just a solid encased inside the thing. And then my brother had one, and it was so satisfying. Because they'd open up like do and you put the thing in, they could snap back down, and it looked so satisfying to use because it had like that mechanical tactile feedback of like you'd snap it in, and you press the button, and you do it go woo.
Yeah, because you bring in like half memories back to me because I had a couple of friends that had like used them, but I'd never had one, and like I didn't realize that CDs would skip Because I never had like a Walkman or anything.
I did,
and I realised that they would skip if you just move them around.
As well, they just look really cool.
Mm.
They just look really cool.
And it's funny because I just like read on a little bit while we're talking about that then. And the next one is like, it's funny, the idea of it, but it does make sense. It's like a TV tuner.
Oh.
Again.
Doesn't sound very useful now, but back in the day.
It's just a little... the top screen you watch TV on. The bottom screen is touchscreen used to change channels, and it literally was just like
you could watch
a little
TV.
mini external antenna that you could watch TV on. Makes perfect sense.
Imagine that for your kids as well. Like, we're watching. Let's basically you're watching TV. Here's your DS. Go watch TV on this. They can watch. Put your headphones in. Watch some Pokemon while your parents watch the news.
Because that was still probably around the same time where people were still using those little portable TVs as well.
Yeah. Again, another great device, but it's like we just combined all the technology into one thing.
It's great, this. The next one doesn't need to exist, Carl, because of the one after it.
Which is?
The activity meter is a pedometer included with personal trainer walking.
I thought the DS
also
had that
known as Walk With Me in Europe.
I thought the DS had like all the health stuff in by default, right?
No, not a lot of it.
Was that the 3DS where it had the step counter?
A lot of the 3DS had all that kind of stuff, yeah.
Yeah, because it had the step counter and it had the Nintendo... What was the thing where you'd walk past people? Street Pass, right?
The Street Pass.
And it'd tell how long you'd walked, and like the more you'd walked, you get rewards and stuff.
It's like, if it wasn't such a drain on battery, Street Pass would be so excellent to bring back. But it did drain your battery.
So you just kept your thing on in the background the entire time, didn't it?
And sending out a signal at all times as well, yeah. But the reason that you don't need to care about the activity meter, Carl, can you remember what came out?
No.
That's similar to, the activity walker pedometer.
Oh, is it like Wii Fit?
No, the poker walker.
Oh, in which case, then why the fuck would you give a shit? Because that's just
exactly.
Did you ever see this all that breakdown of? Because I remember doing an article once about silly devices that actually work better than purpose-built ones, and the poker walker was a more accurate pedometer than purpose-built pedometers put out by like lifestyle companies. And you could also play Pokemon.
At the time, it was weirdly one of the most accurate pedometers to exist.
Yeah, and there's been tests to show, like, people don't know pedometers, it's just, it counts how many steps you've had. And they're not perfect. They can be fooled by stuff like, driving in a car on a bumpy road. For the most part, they don't fall for that much anymore, but they did. And the poker walker, they did a test of like which one's the most accurate, and the poker walker was just as good as, if not better than, ones that were purpose-built and cost 3-4 times as much.
And you could transfer your Pokemon from Heart Gold and Soul Silver.
And the same is true of other accessories, including the Wiimote was one of the best hand detector things, like purpose-built.
Right.
What are they called now? When you got point things.
Like the
not laser points. But do you like those? What I mean of like those like handheld controllers they'd use for like meetings and stuff. There's a word for it, but I can't remember what it is off the top of my head. But they did the test with the Wii U version of that. That was better. The Wii Balance Board was one of the most effective scales. I think scales are scales, right? But the Wii U scales or the Wii Fit scales were some of the most accurate digital scales available on the market, and they cost less than purpose-built scales that you could buy for like medical purposes, and to the point where they sometimes have them in doctors' offices because they were more accurate.
Can you imagine you go into a doctor's office and he's just got like Wii Fit up on the TV, and it's like, right, we're gonna measure how fat you are, and then your me turns obese, and it's like, oh no, you're overweight.
There's that legendary one though, that guy who said that he got in shape because he had a crush on Wii Fit trainer. Then he got so in shape that he got a girlfriend, and then his girlfriend deleted his Wii data because she was jealous of how much time he'd spend exercising, and he got really depressed. He says obviously it's just like Wii Fit trainer, just this like I guess she is attracted by every measure of thing,
in the sense that both like the
she's
male and female Wii Fit trainers were like designed to be the most like I guess like ideal body type, quote unquote. And
her voice was specifically designed to be non-judgmental. And a lot of people
soothing and relaxing as well, yeah.
And just that, the guy got a crush on her, and he got a girlfriend when he got in shape, and she deleted his data because she didn't like how much he was spending on Wii Fit. You feel bad for that guy, because obviously that helped him get in shape.
Yeah. And, the pedometer here just says, the Poker Walker was so accurate compared to other pedometers that the technical design had been reused to work for other titles such as We Fit You, and which is compatible with the Fit Meter pedometer and accessory, which shares the hardware and design with the Poker Walker. So they just took the insides of that and went, we've already made the perfect pedometer, just whack it in something else.
The problem as well, selling the pedometer was really difficult because you got to sell, like, think about how stupid people are. We're selling this thing with, it's a Pokemon accessory called the pedometer that tracks you. And that's people got
why
mad
it's called
at
the Poker Walker.
Yeah, not the pedometer.
Yeah.
And people think I'm making that up. There was a period in time where just like that was just the hot button issue. And it was the point
really?
where in the UK, at the height of like pedo panic, which is like an actual thing I studied in media, pediatricians in the UK got their windows put through with bricks by people who thought that they were pedophiles. And it's like, one, I'm not.
Jesus.
And two, if I was, why would I put a sign outside my place of business saying it? Which is that classic thing of like the people who believe that are so fucking stupid. They believe that everyone is at least as stupid as they are. It's like, well, I fell for it, so it has to be real, right? Yeah. They cannot possibly fathom that people are smarter than them. So they must think that, of course, they'd walk around with a big sign on their business that says it. And they would like yell at like when pedometers were becoming a thing. It's like, oh, there's a new device that tracks where you're going and it can help you keep fit. It's like, why do I buy a pedometer? It's like... Yeah.
And moving on from that call.
That's just one of those things. It cracks me up of how stupid people are.
Well, I just lost my shit because Learn with Pokemon Typing Adventure, known in Japan as Battle and Get Pokemon Typing DS, it used
little keyboard,
a wireless Nintendo keyboard, and as far as I can tell from the box art, it's a Bluetooth wireless keyboard. And it looks like it's a full keyboard that you like connect to your DS.
Thing is, though, right,
with a little Bluetooth wireless device.
Will that ever be better, though, than the GameCube controller with a full keyboard in the middle? Which I still want to get. Those things are amazing.
Oh, God. I still want to get that.
It's so one of the best things ever made.
We got the DS Direction Sensing Card, which was a DS slot compass. You just put it into your DS to make a compass.
Just look into the sky.
Sand.
Just look at the sun.
There's a Wi-Fi USB connector, stylus.
See, those are the ones that they never anticipated because they're the ones that let people like homebrew it out there. Like those devices that basically let you turn your DS into like a mini computer is how they got into it and broke into it without cracking it open.
Exactly, and there is like a bit at the bottom here, which is like. Hacking and homebrew, but I'm sure the people who know about hacking and homebrew already know about these kind of things, so we're going to skip over those stuff.
They also never shut the fuck up about it.
Exactly.
As evident, the most legendary hard drive article of like, why would you buy a Nintendo NES Mini when you could make a Raspberry Pi and just never shut the fuck up about it? It's just, and then all the comments, people are like, no, it's actually really good. It's like, you're proving the point.
Proving the point. And then, of course, Carl, licensed third-party accessories. Can you guess what's at the top of the list?
Third-party accessories. It's going to have to be the Guitar Hero one, right?
It is the guitar grip, of course.
It was such an interesting idea.
Such an interesting idea. Like, for anyone that isn't aware, and like, think of your Guitar Hero buttons. So you've got like 5, going
frets
from like green down to orange. And that's how you're like, you held the thing and then strummed on the strum bar of the Guitar Hero controller. And what they did for the DS is in the Game Boy Advance cartridge slot, you plug in the guitar grip, and it's got 4 coloured buttons that you hold, and then you use a little pick that's designed for the stylus that's
to
strum on the screen while you hold the buttons on this Game Boy Advance pack.
Genius.
Just hold it sideways, use those 4 little buttons as your Guitar Hero buttons, and then strum on the screen.
Genius.
It's like, that's such a cool idea.
Yeah, what a flawless way to just use that idea in a different format.
To like translate Guitar Hero over to a portable device, yeah.
Like, fantastic.
And it's like that's something you can only do on a DS because the dual screens for like, the touch screen at the bottom and then the notes on the top, and then holding it sideways with a Game Boy Advance slot and having the game in a DS slot. Like, There's not really anything else that can do that.
And one of the things that Nintendo's always been really good at is, it sounds complicated, but if you hand that to someone and they have the remotest idea of what a guitar is, they can play that game.
Or just what Guitar Hero is,
Yeah, that's the idea of Guitar Hero, wasn't it? Of like, you can hand it to someone within 30 seconds, they'll be playing the game.
Oh, and then there's also the band Hero DS drum skin.
See, the drum one, that sounds fun.
Oh, it was a piece of rubberized silicon that slipped over a DS Lite, is designed to better enable the feel of rapidly playing the drums rather than tapping on drum icons on the DS touchscreen. So I guess instead of the clickety-clack of like a touchscreen, it's like a more soft feel of hitting a drum.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, that's such a bizarre little thing.
But
I never knew about that.
Someone out there must have wanted that.
Or maybe no one wanted that shit. I don't know.
So these are the kind of things I'm going to buy you one day. Like one day when Wiki Weekends takes off, I'll buy you one.
Like, I wish I had a collection of all this weird shit.
Oh yeah, I want that GameCube like keyboard one. I want it in my house, but I want to like customize it to make it into an RGB keyboard so it glows. And every time I get a smash, it just comes up like "eat my ass" or something like that on the keyboard. I'm like, yeah.
See, I'd love to learn to like modify controllers and make it like, you know, the transparent plastic of like the 90s, like the N64 controllers and stuff. See, like the cool, colourful, see-through controllers.
So I'd want that, but I'd want to fill it up with like baked beans or something. I do those controllers where people make them look really so no one wants to touch them.
I don't know if you saw, there was like a line recently of Switch controllers that came out, and I think it was like PowerA maybe made them, and they were see-through, and they had little figurines and stuff in the handles.
Yeah.
So there's like a little Sonic figurine inside of the controller and shit.
So I'd want one that was like liquid inside. Do you want that colour changing liquid from like a mood ring? Something like that.
Yeah. Or like when people fill their computers up with like the like clear oils or whatever, so that the PC can still run, but it looks like it's underwater. That shit would be really cool in just a controller. And then there's also a paddle controller made by Taito.
Is that so you can like pretend to paddle? Or is it like paddles in like pulling the paddles?
It was a paddle controller that's a mini version of arcade knob controllers, like with Pong.
Oh,
so you know, like the little twisty circle paddle. Okay. And it was for Arkanoid DS, Space Invaders Extreme 1 and 2, and Space Buster Move.
I guess as well, like if you're like a fan of those old school games and you want to get the most accurate representation of them possible, because that's the kind of thing my dad would love. Because
that's really cool. Is the idea like how do you emulate the feeling of those paddle games from the old arcade machines? It's like, well, on the DS we can literally just insert one into the system.
Or you could, like I said, get a Raspberry Pi and just never shut the fuck up. Which is still one of my favourite hard drive articles. It's so good.
Oh, Carl.
Go on, give me it.
This is a game I didn't know existed.
Let's go.
Tony Hawk's Motion uses a motion sensing peripheral option pack called the Motion Pack. Inserted into the Game Boy Advance slot, it's a method of control that is compatible with Tony Hawk's Motion and Hue Pixel Painter.
So if I'm not using it and putting my if I'm not kick flipping my DS, what's the point? Do you
like spinning your DS around in the air, like, whoa.
Do you remember those tech deck things? Those little tiny little mini skateboards. I want that with my DS. It's like woo, which apparently is still a thing. Have you seen that?
Tech decks are.
They're still a thing. They do tournaments for them. It's like you go watch the tournaments and people do proper full tricks with them.
I was gonna say that's the kind of thing like yo-yos where they've been around for 30 years and people have got real good at it.
So yeah, that legendary video of that guy who's in a bathroom and he gets the tech deck and goes underneath the stall to play near someone's feet, and then the guy just goes, "What the fuck are you doing?" And you see 15 tech decks come down. And it's
there was a blood glucose meter. Of course, that was developed by
the diabetic on the go.
Bayer Healthcare together with Paul Wessels.
So I want that. I want to do that and then do a run on Guitar Hero with my diabetic meter. So I have to keep eating Mars bars.
Carl, it is essentially an upgraded version of the Gluco Boy for the Game Boy Advance.
See, I want to try and speedrun Pokemon with my blood sugar levels. It's like, and here you go. It's like,
well, like
imagine if this.
I guess that's a really actually useful device.
It is, yeah, and it's like I think for a kid as well, because this sounds stupid. You think, what about a little kid? Then they might forget their but here's your thing: once a day, you plug this in, you check it. If it's wrong, come back to your parents.
Yeah.
So we're making fun of it, but obviously it's someone out there needed that, and I'm glad that they had access to it.
Yeah, it came with a pack-in game entitled Knock 'em Down World's Fair, developed by Sensory Sweep Studios, which is a series of minigames where players are rewarded with bonuses and power-ups should they regularly check their blood sugar levels.
I was going to say, don't reward people having a bad or a low or high blood sugar.
No. But it's like rewarding kids for
checking
actually making sure they check their blood levels.
Yeah.
Which, it sounds like a stupid thing, but it's actually, we realise that is an actually good device that encourages kids to look after themselves.
It's like those apps that teach kids to brush their teeth and stuff, isn't it?
Pokemon Teeth, yeah.
Plays a mini game.
Or Smile. Pokemon Smile, yeah. Well, this is a stupid Pokemon game. It's just to remind kids to brush their teeth.
Do you know how to brush your teeth? Yeah, well, don't play the game then. So maybe they'll make Pokemon Don't Be an Asshole and you'll play that. Go on, what we got?
There was the Magic Reader, which was an option pack manufactured by Konami. It came with Jushinden Ultimate Beast Battlers, a card game similar to Yu-Gi-Oh!, and the cards were read by tapping them on top of the Magic Reader device.
They never, if they'd have built a fucking dual gauntlet for your DS, that's what I want. And I want to be like...
Just scan all my Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards, because... Do you remember those old, on the Game Boy Advance?
You could put the number in, yeah.
You could put the number of your card...
And it'd bring it up in
into the game and bring them into the game. And you could really break those games because
you'd look up online, what's a code for a Blue Eyes? And get 5 Blue Eyes.
Just, some of those games, you had no restrictions on it. So you'd enter, stage 1, and you just have the ultimate deck already. And
That's right, Lucas. 3 Monster Reborns. I still think one of my favourite things about Yu-Gi-Oh! Is that one of the most banned cards ever is just Reborn the Monster. Of all the bullshit in that game, the 2 most broken things are bring your monster back and draw 2 cards.
Because they're just so simple, they're so broken. Yeah.
Just 3 power greens, 3 Reborn the Monsters, and just 15 Blue Eyes. Let's go.
There are, of course, there's the piano keyboard.
That seems like that's excessive.
Supported titles, Easy to Piano. It's that's the thing.
No, it probably is. It's probably a tool.
13-key piano that slots into your DS.
It's probably a tool for teaching kids scales. If you've got a kid who's learning piano, it's just here's an easy way. Just sit down, play for 15 minutes. Similar to Dr. Kawashima's brain training or something. We got.
Oh, Carl.
What?
The Bay Point Reader and Bay Pointer.
Is this like Beyblades?
This is for Beyblades.
That's awesome.
The Bay Point Reader and Bay Point Option Pack acted as an adapter that connected to the DS game to be up to a Bay Pointer. It attaches to a Beyblade launcher, keeps track of the player's top spinning Beyblade in both real life and the Nintendo DS game.
And you can put it... The thing is, I was thinking, does it let you Beyblade with it attached to the thing, and then the faster you do it, the faster you go in game? That's cool.
I think it literally reads your Beyblade in real life and converts that into the game.
That's awesome.
And it's supported by 5 different Beyblade DS games.
Yeah, because Beyblade, we talked about it once in the thing, it got a lot of support. It's a thing that continues to exist. Like Yu-Gi-Oh! Maybe not Yu-Gi-Oh! Yu-Gi-Oh! Still popular, but like yo-yoing, where it never really went away.
Yeah. And it's still popular now, but, because we're people in their 30s that don't keep up with Beyblade, we didn't realise as much, but
it never went away.
It's just, that sounds incredibly cool, and I'm so mad.
Imagine being a kid
I didn't know about that as a kid.
Being a kid who's into that and getting that, I've got,
because this was the DS, I was a kid. I was playing with Beyblades when these games were coming out.
See, what you should do, though, is, now you play Beyblade on the touch screen. I thought that's what it was. And it detects it. It's like...
Oh, and then we can round this out with what we talked about earlier, the solar sensors.
Mm-hmm.
Lunar Knights added a solar sensor functionality by utilising the 3 Boktai games in slot 2 as option packs. Each game offered a different function in relation to the energy taken from the sun, which is just a great sentence.
Yep.
So Solar Sensor version 1. By inserting Boktai, the sun is in your hand, the character will fill his energy slot. By inserting Boktai 2 Solar Boy Django, the character will fill his life. And by inserting Shin Bakura no Tayo, Gyakushu no Sabata, I'm trying my best.
Some word.
The standby character will fill his transmitter. So just, 3 different GBA cartridges that you slot in to just refill your meters while you're standing in the sun.
Yep. Which must have felt so fucking cool, like reloading your DS.
Yeah, that's so rad.
That tactile feedback thing. It's like, I'm a big fan of light gun shooters. It's not really a thing anymore, because I think it's something with TVs don't really work the right way with light gun shooters, do they?
No, you need like CRTs to be able to work properly with it,
something like a Wii sensor. But I always say the best light gun shooter is House of the Dead 3, because that's the one with the shotgun. And it's the one with the full, and it's heavy. It's like almost full size, and to reload it, you have to cock the shotgun.
That's cool. Yeah.
And obviously everyone's like, well, you don't do that. You shoot off screen because it's quicker. It's like, well, you're no fun. And I don't want to play House of the Dead with you.
Like, the point of the light gun games is to have this cool gun in your hand and emulate it. It's like, why would you take the fun out of it?
Yeah. It's like people who play light gun shooters and don't duck when your character ducks. It's like, what are you doing? You got to get right into it. Or if you don't pick up 2 pistols, like, pew, 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 just John Wick it.
Oh, I love that. Trying to play the light gun game 2-player mode by yourself. Like, bah, bah, bah.
It always feels rad.
I just remember seeing that video go viral a couple of years back of like someone playing like Time Crisis perfectly on both screens.
Yeah.
And people just losing their shit for this dude. Like, yes. Oh, but there's a list of like a few extra accessories that like third-party ones and then hacking and homebrew stuff. And it's like, we've talked plenty enough about the weird and wonderful world of DS accessories, but yeah, it might be fun to pull up another wiki at some point of like other ones, because I knew the DS had some weird shit.
It did, and it's so weird as well because it's so small. Like the creativity that something that small engendered is really quite fascinating.
Yeah, just the fact that having one extra cartridge slot available to do weird and wacky shit with just opened up people's brains. And
they put some bullshit in there.
And I'm so glad that some of that stuff exists, because I didn't know about some of these, and this made me happy.
Like someone
just
out
talking
there,
about weird shit.
Someone out there had an interesting idea and they saw it through. And I guarantee as well, at least one of those things was just someone had a kid and they wanted their. Like, I bet that glucose one is just someone had a kid with diabetes and just wanted.
That's what it was, yeah. Just a dad with a kid who had diabetes wanted to make a device,
and he just thought
that would help kids.
Just slot it into the DS.
Yeah, and it's like, how do I, encourage my kid with diabetes to look after themselves? And that's just a really cool story, and it's like, it reminds me of the Wii sensor that was like the Wii Vitality sensor or something, which would like read your heartbeat, and they never released it, and they showed it off in like E3. They were like, if you play a horror game while wearing this and your heart rate goes up, then the game will scare you more.
Yeah. And they realised that's probably a bad idea.
Just causing people literal heart attacks at home.
But I bet you as well that technology was probably really good. I bet the technology to track your heartbeat was really accurate.
And it would have been really useful for something like Wii Fit.
I think Wii Fit could track a lot of stuff, but not that, right? It could track like
it couldn't track your heartbeat.
But it could track like the one that I remember being like my mind blown by is it can track whether or not you stood properly.
Yeah, because it was a balance board. It could check like your posture and stuff.
Yeah. And it'd be like, are you slouched too far to the side? Is like, you got, which is the thing people maybe don't realize. It's like, okay, you're standing slightly on like your right foot. Do you suffer from like a bad back at all? It's like, yeah, so you should probably stand up straight then, because you're putting all your weight on one side. You should probably even that out.
And you might be subconsciously doing that. And then, they used it for like all of the yoga on it.
Here's some
exercises where you did your yoga pose, and it's like, no, your weight's shifted to the left or right.
Which is unhealthy.
Or forward and back.
Yeah. Maintain good form.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Let's stretch those shoulders.
Let's do
That's
it.
the one. It's like, we fit. Let's stretch those shoulders. Always remember that one. Or like if she's in Smash
That's
Bros.
only because it's a taunt in Smash.
Yeah.
That's why you remember that one.
Oh, and she goes, it's like the full fucking pencil, and she can just support, like she can just Emily Blunt all the way.
Thank you for going on this wild adventure with us, everyone.
What an adventure it was. Cheers, everybody.
It was indeed. And yeah, if let us know, I guess, if you want to hear another set of weird accessories for other consoles, but it's been a fun time.
There's so many.
Yeah, just, do the like, shares, subscribes, all that jazz if you don't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a nice share would be useful. It's free.
And we'll see you all next time.
Thank you all.